The Hateful Eight. And I don't even know if that's how the theme song went. There you go. Clint Cowpoke here. Yep. We are recording a movie film. Clint Cowpoke here doing Tarantino, real close up. Oh. Okay. Clint Cowpoke. I just got back from the Hateful Eight. A late 2015 movie that just come out this last weekend when the Star Wars came out. A little bit after the Star Wars, actually. It came out, yeah, like the week after that, because Tarantino got mad about it. All that stuff Tarantino was saying on the TV, you know, he's raising a fuss. He was quoting the movie, basically. So, but in his mind, he figured, oh, I can be like performance art and totally quote the movie and everyone will get it. But he's a little odd, so yeah, he seems to have both ADD and autism at the same time or something. And so he gets really obsessed with like OCD detailed things and then goes off on a tangent on other things. So when he did raised all the controversy and stuff, it was performance art. He was basically saying, this movie's going to have these themes in it. And of course they picked up on those themes and didn't get the context in it that he's just talking about. Okay, The Hateful Eight is a cowboy western movie, the tradition of the spaghetti western, and then the tradition of the Coen brothers. A lot of Coen brothers elements in there, and him and Samuel L. Jackson and several others, the all-star cast included in the movie. I'm not going to go into all cast members. Some of them have been in his other movies as well, and they basically what happens is there's a bounty hunter, and he's looking, and he's out in the snow in Wyoming. He's out in the snow, and he comes across he's pulling along a horse with a bunch of dead guys on it, and a sled, and he comes up to this stagecoach that's going along, and in the stagecoach, being drawn by a horseman too, is another bounty hunter who he knows, who is bringing his bounty to a town called Red Rock. And this other bounty hunter, he's been in westerns and stuff before, so it's funny to see him doing stuff again. But he's a bad guy, and they're both bounty hunters, and they both have a banter about a Lincoln letter that the African American black guy has on him. He's got a letter from Abraham Lincoln allegedly. And meanwhile, the other guy's got a bounty. It's this lady who was a gang leader, and she's. I'm not going to give away the plot of the story because it just came out. But there's supposed to be 8 hateful people, hence the title, Hateful Eight. So far, there were 3, and because really the coachman wasn't hateful. So they eventually arrive at the Haberdash, which is a sort of a slang term store thing where the joke is that it isn't a brothel. It's run down, and there's a Hispanic Mexican feller running it, and it doesn't seem right. Yet for some reason, our heroes don't at all just decide to look around and see what's going on and why it doesn't seem right to the 2 bounty hunters. But they go in there anyway and meet a bunch of colorful new characters. The rest of the Hateful Eight, therefore, yes. So there's a war general. There's a cowboy. Of course, there's a cowboy. There's got to be a cowboy in there. It's a western. So yeah, I'm more of a dime store cowboy myself. But yeah, the only times I ever been on a horse was when I was a kid. I did see some goats and sheeps over at the Clint Cowpoke in Disneyland, so there you go. So, but I wonder what happened to them. But anyway, back to the show, The Hateful Eight. I mean, Quentin Tarantino's cameo was hilarious. I'm not going to give that away. That would be too much. There's a sheriff, or he's going to be a sheriff in Red Rock, wherever that is. And a blizzard has struck, so they're stuck in this house together. So it's basically if Tarantino met John Hughes and put a bunch of jerky characters in a room together. You just know something bad's going to happen. Yeah, very similar in a theme to Reservoir Dogs, actually, where all the bad guys were sort of, very, very much like that. A little bit of Django Unchained, which was also a remake. It had a little of that. It had several Western elements. It was clearly nodding to those. I found that the one where they did the Glorious Bastards had some scenes that were overlong with the exposition on why movies are awesome. There was a couple of scenes in that one that were just overlong and not done very well. But over the years, Tarantino and Rodriguez and those guys have honed it a little more, so they come off more like the Coen brothers, which I guess is a good thing, I guess. So in this one, they do have some talky scenes. However, they're done in a way that actually forwards the story instead of just merely having them go, we're talking about the nature of being in a Western and being bounty hunters. We're bounty hunters. They do have a little of that, but they do it better in this movie, I thought, than in Django Unchained. It's part of the fluidity of the story. It's not just, we're going to stop and lecture you on the nature of filmmaking, and spaghetti westerns are awesome. They are, but we're not going to lecture you about it. We're just going to keep... There was some lecturing, but they spoofed it, more or less. This is a sort of a spoofy thing. A very violent spoofy thing. It does get violent. It does take a while to get violent. It's a very long movie. Over 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Yeah. The Oscars would like it, except that it's got violent imagery near the end. So it's technically a late 2015 movie. I'm not going to say that it is Oscar bait, but they'd probably like it. There hasn't really been a decent drama movie this year, but I think this movie, for the first 90 minutes or so, is a drama. So why not? Why not this one? So there you go, Tarantino. Put this on the Oscar list. There you go, Quentin. You get to be on the Oscars. So we'll see your movie up there as one of the nominees, because there's nothing else. It did get ultra violent. It did have a lot of swearing and racial slurs and things like that wouldn't appeal to a lot of those other folk, but it was part of the movie. They were supposed to be the jerky asshole sort of bad guys. They're supposed to be bad guys in the story. Everybody's kind of the bad guy. So you're like, okay, well, these are like watching the lives of villains in a store called the Haberdash. What these villains would do to each other. It, of course, does beg the question, if they knew something was wrong, there are some flaws in this movie, it's not perfect. If the bad guys sensed something was wrong, and where is the leader of the store, where is all her crew, that should have tipped them off that the people that are currently there are not who they say they are. Now, they do say some of this other stuff in there as well, like they say, oh, you guys are lying, or you're not lying, or you were lying, or yeller, or whatever. But there should have been more of that. I mean, logistically, unless they were all really, really dumb, they should have realized, oh, yeah, these guys are obviously the bad guys that probably somehow got rid of the store people and, replaced them. It's kind of obvious from the beginning of the story. It is not a surprise, It's not a spoiler, because he spoils it. The something must have happened in order to have these events happen, and therefore that's what's confusing to an extent. That telegraphing that particular scene, nobody asks the question. No one comes out and goes, wait a minute. And then they vaguely ask it here and there, but it's not like, no, they should be asking it completely. They should be interrogating the bad guys and the other guys in the room way before the incident with the coffee cup happens. That's going to come up later. And I'm not going to put that in the review, but there's a scene with the coffee. There's a scene that reveals what's going on. And it's like, no, they would know right away. If they were that trigger happy, they would have walked into the restaurant and shot everybody, and that would have been the end of the movie, but that's what really would have happened. They would have just gone, oh, fuck this. Okay, now we're taking over. And this bounty, I don't care. End of the story. It's over already. 5 minutes in. No, they didn't. But yeah, it's like yeah. So there's I can't give anything away. That didn't really happen in the movie, but I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not gonna. Go watch The Hateful Eight. Well, it's still in theaters. This was, I guess, the second week, roughly. First, second week, maybe third. But it was in very limited release in the second week when Star Wars came out, and now it's wide release, so it's out a little more. It's only the first of 2016, the first review of 2016, and this movie had in the theater with me it was a afternoon 2 o'clock show on a Friday on New Year's Day. Oh, the house was, I would say, finally when the lights went down, about a third full. Not very many people were sitting there. And a lot of the people that stayed for the ending, waiting for the end credits, were older people, older than me, and they seemed a little disappointed. Maybe they weren't expecting it to be, there was actually some really old people in there. Maybe they were expecting like a nice, wholesome spaghetti western or something. It was not wholesome in any way. It was a dark, gritty, rated R western, and they should have known that going in. It's sort of like when people were shocked at Desperado. It's like, what do you think this movie's about? It's about desperados. They kill people. The trailer shows people bodies everywhere. So yeah, Samuel Jackson chews scenery like you wouldn't believe in this movie, and that other cowboy dude, I can't forget his name, but he chews scenery too. Oh my goodness. And there's a trailer for a new Russell Crowe movie where he's doing essentially... Everybody wants to do the 70s. So Russell Crowe is doing a movie where he's doing the 70s. He's doing sort of that, what was that, American Hustle kind of deal, but no, he's a gangster. Gee, that's original. Another gangster movie. Yeah, we saw how well that other gangster movie, Jersey, in the 80s went. The year of, was it the year of violence or something? Didn't actually... Yeah, we didn't review that one, but yeah, saw it. Wasn't very good. But yeah, that was 2 years ago. But now he's in another one, and he wasn't in American Hustle, but no, that was not Hayden Christian. Christian Bale was in that one. Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is in Joy. Have not seen Joy yet. I want to wait for a cheap show to go see that. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. There's my review of The Hateful Eight and some really, really boring previews, including a 70s movie. Yep. So, sort of review of The Hateful Eight. It's Quentin Tarantino's 8th movie. He doesn't really have autism. He has ADD. It's something else, and maybe obsessive-compulsive thing. He seems to have a thing for a non-linear story, and this one jumped around a little bit, but not too badly. When he originally did the Pulp Fiction in 94, 94 Pulp Fiction, he actually didn't know it wasn't linear. He was interviewed later, he's all like, oh, I thought it was in order. Didn't know. This one, I think he was told to put it in order. But yeah. And he also nod to the Grindhouse movies. Very, very affectionate nod to Westerns, but violent. I keep reminding me of the Coen Brothers. I keep being reminded of, not There Will Be Blood, but the other one. There Will Be Blood was the oil one, wasn't it? The same time period. But no, I'm thinking of the other one. I'm thinking of, what was that one with the desperate bad guy, sort of Mexico Western thing where they're... The bad guy is Antonio Banderas, and he's like doing, what was that? Yeah. That wasn't There Will Be Blood. No, it wasn't. What the heck was that? Thing. Ah, there it is. Okay, yep. The Western I was thinking of was called No Country for Old Men. It was an Oscar movie. And yeah, No Country for Old Men. That was the name of it. Yeah, so there you go. That was the other one, the Coen Brothers one. And they didn't do There Will Be Blood. That was somebody else. That was There Will Be Blood. And incidentally, it was weird that they called There Will Be Blood, There Will Be Blood. It was the oil one. Because that's the tagline from Saw. Literally, you look at the Saw poster, There Will Be Blood. So they, and it'd come out just before that. It was a very famous horror movie. Why would you use that as your title for your movie? That's like Eye of the Tiger, using the tagline from Rocky in a song. Oh my gosh, Katy Perry did that. But yeah, They Will Be Blood was. Okay. So yeah. The Boogie Nights guy. Paul Thomas Anderson did the other one. So yeah, both Oscar movies. So there you go. Clint Cowpoke has reviewed the Tarantino movie. You can cut out all the parts where I was looking around trying to see what was going on. But yeah, so go and check it out. This is the first movie review of 2016. And here we are, literally a day after the other stuff. Put the recap stuff from New Year's, California on the other channel. Just it's a recap. That's a recap video. So yeah, this is something new. Yeah, go and see it. It's very violent. Do not take any children to see this movie. It is very violent. It's rated R for a reason. Do not have screaming little ones watching this movie. It is definitely R. When they get to the gore and the shooting and stuff, oh my goodness. It's amazing. So yeah, it's definitely a cowboy western horror movie. So be warned. There you go. So there you go. That's it. Yahoo!